In World War II, the women and children of Europe were affected just as much as the soldiers on the war front. Since there was high demand for certain resources on the war front, the government instituted a rationing program for the civilians. Families were given rationing cards that specified the amount of items they could purchase. In order to buy something, they have to have their rationing card with them. Rationing deeply affected the families on the home front. People were only able to buy what they actually needed. As for education during World War II, the school systems in Germany were completely controlled by the Nazi Party. They decided everything that was taught, who taught it, and who learned it. For example, Jewish children were not allowed to attend school in Germany. The schools had many of the subjects we have today, but the content in the classes were very different. For example, in history class, the students were taught about how Germany lost World War I because of the Jewish spies. In geography, students were taught of how Germany needs to expand their land. In schools, it was required to practice safety drills, medical care training for young girls, and battle skills for young boys.
I'm Shelby!
And I'm Bergen, and today we're going to blast the past to
Germany during World War II.
Ready? Go! Guten Tag! We're here in Germany, back in the 1940s. Isn't it beautiful?
Hello, my name is Shelby, and I'll be your hostess for tonight's show. I will be interviewing a group of women that have experienced World War II firsthand. Let's welcome our first guests, Anna and Molly. Do you go to school?
I used to go to school before the war, but now with my dad in the war, my mom has to work to support us. I just stay home and take care of Anna.
What are your meals like?
Well, a lot of times we don't have very much food, so sometimes we skip a meal. But if we do eat, we have bread, but never fruit, because that's alcohol.
How do you contact your father?
Well, we don't contact him much anymore because we heard that our letters get lost in the travel, but we still write him a letter every week and ask how he's doing and tell him we love him that we want him to come home.
What does being poor mean to you?
Well, the word poor means that you don't get to eat fruit. It means you don't have any friends. It means that you're sissy, you can't go to school. It means that your clothes get too small and that you don't got no money.
I'm so sorry to hear that. You are both in all of our prayers. Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Come on, Anna. Let's go home.
Our next guest is a teacher at a German primary school. Please give a huge round of applause to Cleo.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So how has the war impacted you and your family?
It's been really difficult because we have to ration the food since the German government instituted a rationing program since they were using so many of their resources on the war front, and it's really hard for me and my family to get 3 solid meals a day.
Since you were a primary school teacher, how has the education system changed from before the war?
The schools are called block schools now, and it's where students attend for 4 years, and the classrooms were separated by gender, so I teach young ladies from ages 6 to 10.
Has Hitler made a big impact on what you're supposed to be teaching the children?
Yes, every morning we begin the day with a Hail Hitler salute. I am forced to teach the Nazi curriculum, which we are taught in separate classes, which focuses on the Nazi ideology and the racial science, or we call it racial hygiene. And the number of the teachers has went down because most of the male teachers go into the war.
Have these changes affected the way you look at your career?
Yes, I have considered fleeing abroad like many other educators have, because I do not believe in teaching the children the material of the Nazi curriculum.
Why is that?
I feel as if the government is who is actually teaching the children, and I'm just their messenger, being told what to say in very specific detail. And I feel like the government is just manipulating the next generation to convince them to follow the Nazi beliefs. They don't care about their math scores or their learning skills as much as they care about them following Hitler.
Well, thank you for coming and sharing your story.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too.
Hello, I'm Bergen, and I'm going to be interviewing Donna and her daughter Louise. They're going to talk to us about how rationing has affected their family during World War II. Give a big round of applause to Donna and Louise. How has rationing affected your family?
Well, life is already hard the way it is, but buying all the things that we need has never been so difficult. My mother and I can't go to the store to buy all the things that we need because of rationing. We can only buy small amounts of things, even when we can afford more, because they limit so much.
Do you know exactly why the government has instituted a rationing program?
Yes, because certain things are in short supply during the war, and the rationing helps everybody get their fair share. I mean, at least that's what the government tells us.
What is it like on a daily basis for you and your mom with having really short supply on certain necessities?
Well, I for one hate seeing my mother struggle while trying to provide for our family. All the things that we need on a daily basis and everything that we need the most has been restricted by the government. A lot of things like bread and meat and dairy products we can't even have for our family. And I just wish that this war would end so that we could have the things we need to survive.
How has the past German battles affected your family?
Well, the more battles that we fight, the less that we eat at home, and it's just not fair what rationing is really doing to our families, because I can't provide for my own children, and I want my husband back.
Well, thank you so much for coming in today and answering my few questions. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now let's introduce our last guest, Tiffany.
Thank you for
I'm
having me.
happy to have you. So tell us about yourself.
I'm a 26-year-old nurse working in an evacuation hospital. My husband Tom and my brother Jared were both listed to fight in the war. A year after the war, I received a letter from my husband. Dear Tiffany, I'm sorry I had to put you through all this, darling. I'm truly sorry. Just thought I'll leave you with the last few words. All I want to say is how much I loved you and cared for you. You are the apple of my eye, and I will be watching over you always. Love, Tom. A few short weeks after, I received a notice from one of the fixed hospitals that he passed.
I'm so sorry to hear that. How have you been taking it?
It is definitely hard knowing that I won't see him again, and I never really got a proper goodbye. All I have left from him is this letter. Ever since my husband passed, all that has been on my mind is hoping that my brother is well.
Would you mind giving us some background information on your job?
At the beginning of the war, I was placed in a fixed hospital, which is a hospital for long-term patients. There are two types of fixed hospitals: station hospitals and convalescent hospitals. Fixed hospitals are set up far from the front to keep patients away from danger. Just a few months ago, I was transferred to an evacuation hospital. These are mobile hospitals that drive 30 miles away from the front and can arrive within a few days of an invasion.
Do you know on average how many nurses there are?
There are more than 59,000 nurses serving in the Army Nurse Corps.
That is amazing. And do you know what the survival rate is currently for soldiers that receive medical care?
Fewer than 4% of soldiers that receive medical care pass away.
That is a great percentage for soldiers. Well, thank you for coming in and sharing your story.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Goodbye!
See you next time
On Blast to the Past!
So, every day I wake up really early.
I'm so missionary.
Go into the tree.
Why are you videotaping?
One, two, three.